Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Super Rocketeer development video number 3. Recently, I've mostly only been polishing things up in these videos, but this week I ended up prototyping a new mechanic for the game, which I think will help it out a lot. So we can see this card here. I call it a Synth card, and the idea is that each of these cards has its own item attributed to it, and when Rocketeer picks it up, that card, and subsequently the item attached to it, is added to the player's collection, and it can be spawned at any time. I don't have any of the code or user interface made for this yet, so let's pretend the card I just picked up was for the gun I've showed before. By holding down the C key, we've created a force field of sorts, and we can move around the item that we have selected, in this case the gun, and can stamp it anywhere within the bubble. This card mechanic sort of works like an inventory system, but I think it'll have more of a sandbox feel to it, because the items will allow the player to go about the game in a lot of different ways, instead of just being tools for specific locations. Before, I didn't have a good way to present items to the player. It would have just been me placing a single one of my choosing in a location for the player to use temporarily, but with this system there's a lot more freedom. This also gives the player incentive to explore areas, and it adds a completionist component to the game. I'll go more into depth on this later as it's being built. Of course, it's not a Super Rocketeer development video without some polish. The first thing I did pertaining to Rocketeer's movement is, when he's overstepping his bounds on a ledge, he starts to toddle, so it looks like he's losing his balance and his leg isn't oddly hovering in the air. Next, if Rocketeer is against the top of a ledge and up is held down, he'll automatically vault himself up it, which works like the ground vault, except I've got it working in the air now. Next, Rocketeer can now automatically lift himself into crawl spaces that are a single tile higher than he is. This seems pretty simple, but it was actually one of the harder things for me to do this week, and it's also a little buggy still. Because I've been so focused on improving Rocketeer's mobility, I made this playground of sorts to see how Rocketeer would fare in an area with a bunch of oddly combined tiles. It can be pretty tough for him in some areas, because a lot of these tiles are cramped together, and Rocketeer was designed to handle more open spaces. I'll definitely try and make him more versatile for areas like these in the future. That being said, it is neat to see how much of this he can already handle, despite not being explicitly designed for it. That's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed and continue to follow development.